Hi guys, okay, this is Dr. Michael over here.
And I'm Melvin.
Currently, we're actually in Sabah right now. So we're actually in KK, in the waterfront, and this is the first time Melvin has actually been to KK. So how do you find the market right now?
I find the market here is really high potentials because I see quite a lot of people over here, and then the property is also quite a lot of potential places which is very close to all these great destinations of these holiday places which is packed with people.
Okay. Yeah. So let me ask you something right now. If let's say, for example, if this is your first trip over here and you're actually learning to go and do property investments, or you want to go and see whether there's a potential market, what would be your advice how a person would look at the market, judge the market, and decide whether this is a good place or not? So what are the things you will actually look for?
So if you ask me, right, the first thing first, right, the property that we invested to is always actually, it's not about the property, it's about the people that you're going to rent to in the future.
Okay.
So the first thing first, you need to know what is the demographic there. So what kind of people are staying there? Are they working people? Are they travelers? Are they tourist people? Right. So according to what kind of people are in the particular location, that will actually determine what kind of property you should actually go into.
So the key over here is target market.
Yes, of course.
So in target market right now, what do you actually see so far in KK that is actually interesting for you?
For me, I think it's interesting to see that, okay, actually when I'm on my flight to actually come to KK, I see there's a lot of foreigners coming in, especially the Chinese and the Korean. Around, they are flying in a lot, right?
Don't you think that there's more tourists here as compared to, like, let's say KL or maybe even Malacca? Right?
Yeah, actually. In fact, I think that the tourists over here is much more compared to the Malacca, the Penang, right?
And look at the view over here. If you can't see right now, the ocean is actually blue, right? The sea is blue. It's like one of the best places. There are islands all behind. You can go island hopping as well.
Yeah, of course.
So I can definitely see why this is more attractive, okay, for most of the tourists to come over this side. Okay, so what else then?
Okay, so because I've already run through, right, and I know that the demographic here is more to tourists.
Okay.
So I also have a look a little bit on the property over here, and I find that there's a lot of underrated properties where they are selling right below market value.
Okay.
Right, and I think there's a potential to actually buy a
so
good
you would look
set.
for good deals as well, lah.
Yeah, a good deal to cater for tourists.
So that's where you come into looking for properties out. Okay.
Yeah.
What else besides property deals and also, as a matter of fact, the target market? So you just mentioned target market. You actually mentioned then the pricing of the properties here to match. Now, how do you know whether the price of the property is good or not good?
Right, of course, I'll do my research on it, right?
Okay.
So now, of course, I've already checked with some of the banks, how the bank can value the property for,
Right.
and what is the listing of the price. So I can see that the price is
So that's interesting.
slightly below.
The first thing you do is you check the target market. The second thing you will do if you're coming to a different place over here is you go to the banks to check the property market price.
Yes.
Why?
Because anybody can say any price they want to sell, but how can we know that is that the actual price? Of course, the bank will have more regulations, right? Of course, they need a valuer to actually verify all the data. So that's why if we go through the bank, that is the most accurate possible price that's actual in the market right now.
So besides, instead of just going to real estate agents and going out online and checking pricings of properties, you also go into the local banks to see what are the valuations the banks would give for the prices over there.
Yes,
that would actually give what, a better value or true value, is it?
A true value.
True value. Okay, good. Okay, so now you got the banks, you got the target market. What else will you do to check whether the markets here, the properties here are good or not?
Okay, so now this is the first time I'm going to come in, right?
Yes.
And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lay down all the traps.
Okay.
I'm going to lay down all the listings. So I'm going to do some posting out there and see and test the rental market. Is it
Rental
true?
market.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to test out the rental market so that when the next time I come in, I already have the rental demand, right? Whether is it a good demand or a bad demand, what kind of properties they can have the demand that has the
So
right
when
demand.
it comes to rental, what kind of rental postings you will put in there?
I would put like room rentals and the whole unit rentals, full furnished rental versus bare unit rentals.
Okay.
Right, so all these have different variants and what kind of pricing I can add.
So that would give you a good estimate about how much the locals are, or the people here are willing to pay for the properties over here.
Yes.
Right? So it will give you whether it's a sustainable market or not.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
And also I can know that who calls me, the one who calls me, I can also know what's the demographic. Are they foreign or are they locals? Okay, so I also check about Airbnb, right? I've gone through
Airbnb?
Yeah.
Okay, why Airbnb?
Well, I think Airbnb has a very good potential growth over here.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of tourists coming in, number one.
That
And
makes
number
sense,
two
right? Yeah,
is that there is a lot of not good Airbnb, not
So
well done.
you also will see that whether their Airbnbs over here are good or cekai or not cekai.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So cekai means basically good or bad, right? So basically, okay, and I want to say this right now, okay, this is absolutely gold that you're actually listening to this right now. We are actually in Sabah and I've been here for about 2 months already, and Melvin is actually the first time over here and he said it perfectly right. First thing first is when you come into the place, most investors, they don't do this. They go out there, they check the properties, they find the deals, right? right? Maybe they're invited by developers for a launch, or maybe they're invited by an agent to come and see a specific deal. But a real investment would do it this way, right? Check the target market out.
Yes, of course.
Right, then you see whether the target market is matching on the properties that you actually buy.
Yes.
Second thing you do is, before you go out there to see the developer units or the agent to bring you the units you want to see, go and check with the banks
Yes.
to see whether the values justify or not.
Of course.
I mean, the worst thing you could do right now is if you fly into a country just to see a specific property, how many of you agree that, that property price, you may not know whether it's good or bad. But if you go to a bank and check, maybe the surrounding areas over there may actually get cheaper properties around.
Yes.
And you may be actually buying something relatively expensive, right? So this is a good point. But the brilliance of it is this, where Melvin actually just said, go out there to check the rentals. Many of us don't, I mean, how many of you realize investors don't do that, right?
Yeah, of
They don't
course.
put out fake postings, or they don't even go out there to check. I want to check. And it's very easy to check Airbnb, man.
Yeah, correct.
Right, because Sabah over here, the market is mostly tourists.
Yes.
Right, so definitely Airbnb makes sense.
And you cannot even hide. You can just click into the calendar. You can see what's their occupancy rate like.
Wow, brilliant. Okay. And I want to ask you another question. So after you've seen all this, how is the rates of Airbnb in Sabah?
I'll see the variance is quite big.
Quite
right?
big,
The variance, I mean, in one same particular condo, some can be 600, some can be 200, 300, some
Wow.
even 100.
Wow.
But the difference of the furnishing and all that is really a very big
difference,
gap
ah.
as well.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
also something that's an opportunity over here,
But
right?
the best thing is that I see that the cheaper one is not the one with the higher occupancy, but the more expensive one has the more higher occupancy compared to the cheaper one.
Now we're getting exciting, right? Because people are willing to pay more money.
Yes, more money for
Okay.
a better unit so that
Okay.
they can stay more comfortably.
Okay, so that now makes a lot of sense. So if let's say that condo is actually for sale and you have a price over there, and you now know that people are actually having demand for quite relatively good price Airbnb unit, they're
Yeah.
paying good premium pricing for it, does that make sense for people to then start investing over here then?
Yeah, definitely.
So those are the things I want to share with you guys right now. If those of you are actually going out there for property hunting in different places, okay, we just gave you great valuable tips over here. First things first is go out there, check target market. Second is to check valuation of the property, but from various sources. And last but not least is check the rental market. That being said, I'm so excited. Let's go out there and see some properties right now.
All right,
Okay?
let's go.
Hey, okay.